I don't even know what to say about this anymore. It just seems like it's so forced and it's so fragmented still. This relationship between Nick and Jalen Hurts, it just seems like it was so forced. Coming off this bye week, what really happened between them two? And we have some news on Hassan Reddick as well, which could really affect the Eagles later on. What could happen there? And the unscripted episode we're about to see from Nick Sirianni, what he really has to fix. Because this is not good. This really has to be fixed.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
This video is sponsored by Lucy. 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco free. Since the Philadelphia Eagles make nothing easy for us, and you need something for these games that give you a heart attack at times, I have just the solution. Lucy isn't like any other nicotine company owned by Big Tobacco. Think of it as the mom and pop shop of pouches. The Lucy Breaker nicotine pouches are flavorful. Each pouch holds a capsule that breaks open, releasing tons of flavor. Whether you want to buy one can at a time or buy a subscription monthly so it's delivered straight to your door. I have tried a good portion of the nicotine Lucy Breakers, and there are a nice 6 flavors that I've already tried already. Trying espresso made me nervous. It was like walking to a Barnes & Noble, sitting down with a magazine, getting a cup of coffee, and let me tell you, it's not too strong, but it's just settled enough to be like, wow. The cinnamon flavor is one of the best ones too, because if you're a big fan of Big Red, you're going to love cinnamon. If you want to get on the fruity side of things with mango, not too sweet, not too strong, just settle, just perfect. Spearmint and wintergreen are two of the most common flavors I think will be big ones. It's apple ice. Apple ice is an amazing one for me just because it's like going to the supermarket, buying that green, sourish type apple, and oh my God, it was absolutely fantastic. Love this flavor entirely, and I'm definitely buying more of this. The top of the pouches actually come off, and you could actually place your empties, your garbage ones in there so you're not throwing them or littering them on the ground. So I thought that was pretty cool. Just remember, when you go on the website and purchase the Lucy Breakers, make sure you pick your strength, which is the nicotine. 4 milligrams, 8 milligrams, or 12 milligrams. I'm usually throwing one of these in, no doubt, before content, after content, before a game, during a game, after a game, before dinner, before I go to sleep. Yeah, I got some problems. I came through for you guys, my Eagles fans, my supporters, and let me tell you, you got a promotional code here. Go to lucy.co/joeyshakes for 20% off your first order. Lucy offers free shipping and a 30-day refund if you need to change your mind. That's lucy.co/joeyshakes for 20% off and always free shipping. Just remember, guys, Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. I want to thank Lucy for sponsoring this stream or video, and let's get back to the content. All right, so the first thing we kind of have to go over right now. I just got back from the movies. I was busy. My brain is fried, but I'm going to do this as much as I possibly can. Okay. Jalen Hurts' press conference the other day was just so, obviously, coming off the bye week, reporters are going to ask, what we was doing coming off the bye week, all that stuff, and I felt like he was forcing too much. Like, he wanted to tell the beat writers that him and Nick had such a great, he got away from football for a little bit, then came back to it, and him and Nick talked a little bit, and he kind of forced that whole thing to get the media to get off the subject or whatever. So this is what Hurts had to say on the bye week. Okay, he said, Jalen Hurts said the bye week gave him and Nick Sirianni a chance to talk through some things and have some great moments. Said later the two were able to come together in harmony, and reiterated the level of confidence he had in his coach. It's so corny. It's just the most corniest thing. This was so forced. this is just bad anyway. I mean, regardless, like even to talk about this, I mean, we know since last season, the relationship has been rocky. But even talking about this, it's like they're talking during the bye week and like, I mean, they're talking through. I mean, they're talking through some things, and the problem I'm having with the situation is that Nick doesn't really promise anything for this team yet for the Eagle fans. Okay, if you guys look at this is another quote of what what Jalen Hurts said about Sirianni in general. Okay. Says, we are the two leaders of the team. I'm happy and fortunate that we're able to come together in harmony and have the same goals in mind, try to get this thing right. I got a ton of confidence in him, a ton of confidence in what he brings, everything he has been able to accomplish. Everybody goes through different moments. Everybody experiences adversity. We've experienced different moments of adversity together. We are excited for what's to come. The only positive thing I can take from this is because Jalen Hurts and Nick have bumped heads a million times at this point, you would think that the relationship would be stronger. Is it good? Is it more healthy going forward? Or is it going to be clashing moments every single week trying to find the identity to this offense, which we have not yet through 5 weeks, going on week 6 now. Like Nick Sirianni on the unscripted episode, which I think is going to be another thing. He's a cheerleader. He hypes everybody up. He's all about trying to keep the culture he knows how to keep the culture in effect. Okay, but we don't even know if the culture is even in effect still, because who knows if some players have already abandoned ship on Nick Sirianni already behind the scenes, us not knowing about it, because players aren't going to say anything and put their coach under the bus, because unfortunately, the media will be all over this in 2 seconds, and we will all be reporting on it, and that will be such a distraction. That's why no players, even if there are some players that are disgruntled right now, they're not going to say anything. But we don't know that. We don't know what's going on. But how many more weeks are you going to hype up these players? Like, this was literally this week, him talking to the team, right before the bye week happened. Right before the bye week, probably, okay? Where it doesn't even matter if it's before or after. It doesn't even matter, because this is what Nick does every week. Nick will be like, what are you going to bring to this team? And what are you going to do this? And we have to do this, and unity, and this, and that. And he does all this stuff, and he says what he has to say to motivate his football team, his roster that's sitting right in front of him. And what does he do? He literally is all talk with no show. Talks a great game. And then once you try to hype these guys up, get them excited that they can actually win a football game and lose in horrible fashion. And he talks about being humble enough in this. He talks about being humble. If Nick Sirianni is humble, he would know that what he's doing, he's really bad at, because he's given up play calling when he needed to in 21 as the head coach, first year as a head coach, to Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen took over the offense for a year and a half through 22 and the rest and all of 23. Through 21, the rest of 21 and all of 22. And look where it got us. And since he's been gone, he's been just thinking, I could do this. How I could do this? I mean, look, at the end of the day, when Nick was hired as a head coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, he was hired as a game planner. But he doesn't do that. We all knew when he came from the Colts for Frank Reich. Frank Reich is the one that called all the plays in Indianapolis. So this really bothers me that, don't talk to your players about being humble. You have one of the best rosters on paper, because all I could say is on paper. You get Devontae Smith back this week. You get A.J. Brown. You get Lane Johnson back. If you still lose this game this week, or don't even win out in winning fashion, that I'll be comfortable to say, yeah, the Eagles should have at least put up 2 to 3 touchdowns more on this Cleveland Browns squad. One of the worst offenses, one of the worst blocking offenses, the quarterback and Deshaun Watson that gets one of the top sacked quarterbacks, one of the top pressured quarterbacks. You know what I mean? This offense has got to put it away, and this defense has got to do the rest. Okay, regardless. Okay, so talk about the team and hype them all up, but behind Sirianni is a fraud scheme, is a no hope, not believing type of thing that's going on. I can't even really describe it. It's all bullshit. There's nothing that tells me that Nick is going to change. I'm sorry, but you know what? I've been realistic since last year about this team. I've been realistic about after that 49ers embarrassing loss to the 49ers, getting exposed, and how the rest of that year happened. It's still continuing this year, but we're not winning those ugly games anymore. Now we're just losing these games because teams are still figuring us out. And it's week 6, and you have no identity to this offense. I have more faith in this defense making adjustments than this offense making adjustments because Nick is so thick-headed. And he thinks till this day, don't talk about being humble if you're not humble enough to give play calling over and you still think that what you bring, what value of your game plan coaching to this whatever Kellen Moore is putting on paper here is going to help this team. It is not. I see the tale of two halves mostly every game besides that Green Bay game. And I see two different offenses. I see too many Nick Sirianni type moves. I'm sorry, but I don't see crossers, mesh concepts. I mean, nothing middle of the field. It's Nick. I see Gainwell come in too much. It's fucking Nick. Saquon Barkley has less snaps. It's Nick. Empty back set. It's Nick. It's tight end screen. It's Nick. It's just, this is where we're at right now. This is the most. So when Hurts talks about Nick Sirianni during the bye, what do we want? What do you want? You want us to congratulate you for trying to work things out with your head coach? You literally just told everybody, literally, it might not sound like it, but it kind of just told them okay, it's the bye week. You're talking to your head coach and you're having these discussions and you're trying to get on the same page. This isn't showing me that this is normal. This is showing me that there's still a fucking problem between the head coach to the quarterback. The disconnect that, sorry, is still going to happen regardless. If Nick is still calling this offense, if he's still involved in this offense, they're going to clash way more. And guess what? Your owner and your GM are just letting this happen every single week. And it's already starting to show me, well, if Nick is allowed to be in game planning and have half to 70, I would say 85% of his offense is in game right now, then we have a bigger problem on our hands if the owner and Jeffrey Lurie and the GM and Howie Roseman are still I'm not even saying they got to fire him right now, but damn, I've already wanted Nick Sirianni out the door. There's no secret about it, but they're still not even tying his hands. You got to handcuff Nick Sirianni back in the locker room, come out to the field and call this game because he literally can't keep his hands off anything the Eagles do. Anything that the Eagles do, he just can't help himself. The ego, the flaunting from last year, how he's been as a coach, and it's just, he just looks more stupid as every game passes by. His excuses are going to get lame. All it's going to take is just you're going to be facing one of the worst offenses this week. Defensively, you have a lot on your plate right now. Offensively, you have a lot on your plate too, because even though the Browns defense is good and, it's still, as a team, I haven't seen a team effort type win. I think Green Bay was probably the best, probably not the best game, but it was as close as we could get to a full game from both sides. And it really, like I said, wasn't that much. Probably the first game in Green Bay was probably the most Kellen Moore run offense I've seen. And it wasn't even 100% that, but it was close to it, like I said. So that's all I really have to say about the situation. Nick keeps doing this every week, hyping this team up, getting these guys prepared, having these big, long, rah-rah speeches, but behind him, there's nothing but lies and nothing to show them that they can actually win every game. Because this roster, the way they are right now, it's not great. And we'll see what happens when the Cleveland comes to the link and we try to put on a show here, because I'm really I'm gonna be very critical of how they win this game. If they do, I'll be critical on how many touchdowns they score. I'll be critical on what that final score is gonna be. If they win by 3, if they win by 1, I'm not gonna be impressed. That's all I'm really gonna say on this situation with Nick, and I think Hurts just made it just, was he? I mean, all he had to say was my bye week went great. I was hanging out. I did this. Like he had to mention that him and Nick had a talk, and it went great. And it's just like, okay, cool. Like I guess there's a lot more issues, and you guys really had to try to talk. Hopefully the talks were positive. Not saying that it's negative all the time, but hopefully those talks with Nick during the bye, we're positive, and could hopefully bring us somewhere different. And maybe Nick will change his ways. But do I believe it? That Nick is like just going to take a step back as what we were promised before the season? No, definitely not. But that's just me. I think it's a joke. That was even said by Hurts in general. Just makes it look like there's even more problems behind what's going on. And that's where I'm at right now with the situation. All right, now, this is another big one because we have been monitoring the situation for a while with Hassan Reddick. Now, Ian Rappaport did tweet out, sources say that the CAA is parting ways with Jets passer rusher Hassan Reddick, who is the NFL's last holdout. Reddick has not shown up to the facility, has collected millions in fines, and his situation currently has no end in sight. Okay, so it looks like that he lost his agent. I guess maybe he fired his agency. Maybe he's just done. Maybe he's just going to take the year off. Maybe the Jets are trying to trade him and he's saying no. That could be a whole issue right there. Has this affect the Eagles? Well, a couple different ways. Because we heard that, obviously, like you trade a player to a team, you can't acquire them back the same year. You have to wait 2 years by NFL mandate rules. You have to wait 2 years to trade for that same player if he's on the same team. The only way the Eagles can acquire Hassan Reddick back is obviously through a cut. Okay, so if he gets cut, or he might be putting a chokehold on the Jets right now, he's probably saying to himself, Hassan Reddick is probably saying to himself, screw the $14.5 million. I'm going to get a contract next year, blah, 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 blah. The problem I'm having with this is that, are the Eagles going to get the third round conditional? Depending. If he goes to a team next year that doesn't have a third rounder, period, then it's going to be a problem. So I don't know how that whole thing works you trade a player, you get a pick, and then he goes somewhere else. So I don't know how that works with the conditional pick and all that stuff. If that even stays, or maybe it drops down to just the pick and that's it. But Reddick obviously is not going to play, so the Eagles will most likely get the third rounder. They won't get the second. They won't get a conditional. And get a second rounder because he has to play 68% of the snaps, 10 plus sacks for the Eagles to get at least a second rounder for the 26 draft. But looks like he's not going to play at all. So the Jets can't force him to play. All what Hassan Reddick's going to do. I mean, Reddick is helping the Jets because obviously they just fired Robert Salat, a lot of stuff going on over there. So I don't think he's in any rush to come back. He's forfeited a lot of money as of right now. Each week that passes by, it's like over $800,000 a game. So that's going straight back into the Jets cap. So it's a win for the Jets because they're getting the cap back pretty much from him. But they're losing a player that could really help them right now. So it's a win-lose, win-win for both sides. It's win-loss, win-win, doesn't matter. So the worst thing that can happen is he holds out the entire year and then just waits to sign to a team next year. Then once 25 comes, it really just depends on the 25 off season. It really just depends on where it just depends on if teams actually think how he acted was unprofessional and he should have played on what that's the whole thing. We don't even know the whole story because the Eagles trade him to the Jets. The Jets didn't have the pen and paper ready. Really, it's the Jets' fault. It's not even Hassan Reddick's fault, period. It's Howie Roseman's fault for making 3 bad moves at defensive end when it comes to drafting Nolan Smith, when it comes to signing Bryce Huff, that obviously it's not working right now, to $17 million a year, and trading Reddick because of that move. So a lot of weird things going on with this. And I don't think this helps him to get another contract next year from another team. Like, maybe teams just think like, man, like he's going to hold out the whole entire year. It's not like it's never happened before. But will he get what he wants by taking the year off? Probably not. Probably not the number he wants. And whatever number it is, man, he's been stuck on it and he hasn't moved from it. And we're gonna find out what happens. There were rumors like a week. I think Graziano. There was like a couple weeks ago. There was rumors that he was going to get traded. That they were trying to find a partner, but seems like Joe Douglas is just sitting in his tracks and he's not bending the knee for Hassan Reddick to get traded. He was, Joe is pretty much saying he's here. We traded for him, and this is where he's going to be. So, you know what? If both sides are trying to get one-on-one on each other, get one up on each other, and we'll see what happens with this entire situation. Because, I mean, this could change before the trade deadline. If he's still holding out after the trade deadline, damn, then this is just Reddick being in spite of just not giving him the money that he wants, getting traded there, and he's just like, you know what, screw it, I won't even play for that team that's going to lose every game anyway. So there's a lot going on there. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. We'll actually do a lot more videos, more streams coming, all of that great stuff. Make sure you sign up and go get those Lucy breakers from lucy.co/Joey Shakes. Use the promo code Joey Shakes to get 20% off your first order and all that great stuff. Link is in the description of this video. Let me know what you guys think about, in general, let me know what you guys think about, Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, the situation, what he said at the press conference. Is it like so corny? Doesn't make sense. Like, why? Like, it just makes it seem like there's more problems on top of everything. And let me know what you guys think about Hassan Reddick. Do you think he holds out the rest of the year? Do you think he gets traded before the trade deadline? And if he gets cut, do you think he wants to come back to the Eagles? We heard rumors that, if he was to get cut, he wouldn't mind coming back to Philadelphia. And that was when they shot down that he can't get traded back. But what if he actually gets cut? Would he come back to the Philadelphia Eagles and for the rest of his career? Really, I think that'd be a great move. It would help out tremendously. We all know that that was one of the biggest mistakes Howie Roseman made. Really awful move by Howie Roseman. But if a player wants a certain amount, maybe it was too high. We don't know the actual details. We're hearing $25 million, but we really don't know, and that's really where we're at. So other than that, guys, let me know what you guys think. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes, what up? Follow side. Peace out, guys. Peace.